let's talk about flossing. So I think it's really important that you brush, floss, tongue scrape, and water floss. I don't believe that flossing and water flossing can be interchanged. When considering the oral microbiome, you have to think about how the different bacteria in your mouth are living and thriving. So there are bacteria that are biofilm based, and those are the sticky bacteria, the fuzzy socks that you start to feel growing in between the teeth and along the gum line. And then there are bacteria that are swimming in nature that just kind of swim around in the tissues and the crevices of the tongue and the tonsillar area. So those mobile bacteria aren't within biofilms and generally not always are mitigated or improved by just flossing alone. So a water flosser helps with those types of bacteria. When you're considering floss, I really recommend finding some sort of floss that tends to have more of a texture to it. So when we're using flosses like Glide or the Teflon tape types of flosses, they may not pick up as much bacteria as something like a Cocoa Floss, a Dr. Tong's, or even Better Biome has some brands that is a silk that puffs up when you're flossing. My statement is usually we don't clean the corners of the room with Teflon tape, we use the Swiffer sweeper. So the bacteria will stick better onto those puffier filled spaces with a textured floss. When you are flossing, you want to take about a shoulder's width length of floss if you're using traditional floss. So with traditional floss, my personal favorite is Dr. Tong's. I do love Better Biome. They have a silk-based floss that's orange and black. This too puffs up, doesn't have any wax on it, which is lovely. But when it comes to floss, it's important that it puffs up after use and that puffing takes place and can grab the bacteria that you're trying to remove from the tooth structure. So some of the key things when it comes to flossing, it's really important that you wrap your floss around your middle fingers and use your fingers and thumb to direct the floss when it comes to placing the floss and getting a good C shape against the tooth, going up and down and pulling to get a C shape and going up and down. Don't get caught with the drive-by flossing when you just snap between the contacts. When you're just snapping between the contacts, you're cleaning the contact space, maybe from some food, but you're not really addressing the bacterial component that you need to with floss. So if you're wrapping it around your middle fingers and you have your fingers and thumb, you're able to form that C shape really well and manipulate your floss in a much better fashion. So flossing should be snapping between, pushing against one, go up and down, pull against one, and go up and down. I'm trying to do it so you can actually see my hand. Then when you're moving down to the bottom, you have more fingers. And this textured floss starts to puff up and the bacteria that's on the surface of the tooth is getting entrapped in that puffy floss. So I like puffy floss if you're using traditional floss. If you're not using traditional floss, and honestly, you have to find what works best for you. If you don't choose to use traditional floss, you can go ahead and use something like a floss pick. Floss picks are super key. It's super easy. You can do it anywhere and accessible, snapping in between, push against one, pull against one. So you can still form that C shape and get each surface of the tooth when you're using a flosser. Now let's just talk about Glide. So Glide has more of a Teflon, really thin floss. It's great to get in between the contacts, but it doesn't really hold up with the pressures of snapping between. And this is really slippery, so I don't think it really picks up that much plaque. If you pick something that's a little bit more corded, you can see this has a lot more texture to it. and it's really strong. I've never broken one of these Guru Nanda ones. These are super affordable. You can get a whole bag of 300 for under $7. So it'll last you months. And the other cool thing is it does have a little soft pick also that's textured, and this can be stuck in between and massage the tissue and also push food debris and loosen up plaque in between as well. This one does get a little bit weak and can bend sometimes. Don't shove it where it doesn't fit, but floss picks do have a place, especially if you have hard time with your hands and getting it in the mouth. So I'm fine as long as you're getting in there. I'm not a big fan of Teflon types of floss, and here's an example. So I'll kind of work this through. Okay, and that has not changed shape whatsoever. With these ones, it does go into the contacts a lot easier. But the shape does change and it gets a lot weaker and is susceptible to breaking over time. You can see even more. It just doesn't necessarily hold up. I've actually broken these. So, you know, pick the right flosser for you as far as that goes. Happy flossing.